So I was sat on stream the other day and there was a knock at my door and we had a delivery from these guys. My favorite football shirt subscription service, Surprise Shirts. Now, I went to open the box as normal. I had not done it yet because I was met with a challenge card. And that card read, Hood, we challenge you to win the Belgian League in season number 1, to win the Champions League within 10 seasons, and do it all with a full Belgian squad. Good luck, you will need it, Surprise Shirts. So, I guess we have to open this box and see which Belgian team we have. Now, I am quite looking forward to this. I'm going to avoid the card right now because it does come with a card telling you who the team is, what the shirt is, giving you a little bit of information about it there. And it is, as always with these guys, genuinely supremely well packaged, coming in the tissue paper with the Surprise Shirts logo. So we open it up. We've got a little bag of Haribo as well. We'll be tucking into them once we find out who this team is. And that looks lovely. I can already see it's Club Brugge, so that looks fantastic. Let's open her up and see what she looks like. It is a nice yellow kit, and when you look at the kits on the wall behind me, I don't have anything in yellow, so good choice, gang. So this is the shirt right here. Looks quite nice, doesn't it? Comes with the official tags on it. This is the shirt. Let's go and try this on and change the lights around, and then we'll get back into this. Okay, so we are back in the shirt, and we've changed the colors to blue because this is their away shirt. Now, I can consult this card that, as I said, they do give you. This is the away shirt from the 2021 season. Club Brugge are one of Belgium's most decorated teams, having won the Belgian League 18 times, second only to Anderlecht. This is the away shirt worn when the side won the Belgian title under the management of 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩, now at Rangers. Club Brugge won the Super Cup and were knocked out in the semi-finals of the Belgian Cup, so they actually won the league wearing this as their away kit. So obviously we've been set the challenge by Surprise Shirts to get into, so let's go in and take a look at that. Diving into the club, you can see there is plenty of work for me to do to complete this challenge. Bruges didn't win the Pro League last season, so we initially have to bounce back and win the title, much like the team did in real life. And in season 1, we won't even be competing in the Champions League, making one part of this challenge impossible from the get-go. The final leg of this challenge is having a full Belgian squad, and considering we have 20 non-Belgians in this team, we have plenty of work to do here. But for us, season 1, we have to win the title, otherwise this challenge video is over immediately. So let's get a tactic in here and let's get to simulating. We got off to a fantastic start in the Pro League this season, proving incredibly difficult to defeat, and actually went on a 23-game unbeaten run that spanned into 2024. A key part of this was the prowess of striker 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩 in front of goal, and as the Spaniard bagged 41 goals in all competitions. But he will not be in this squad for much longer, obviously because he isn't Belgian, so damn you, Surprise Shirts. We continued our impressive form in the second half of this season and into the championship group to tick off the first part of this challenge as we were crowned champions of Belgium, winning the title by 4 points. And to boot, we progressed into the Belgian Cup final, which we were able to dominate, winning the game 7-4 to lift the trophy and complete a league and cup double. And we even had a decent run in the Conference League this year, but we couldn't make it a treble as we lost to Roma in the quarterfinals. So part 1 of this challenge has been secured, but there is still plenty to do. And this is a fantastic challenge, so shout out to Surprise Shirts, the sponsor of today's video, who will give me this absolutely gorgeous shirt, which will probably end up on the wall. Head on over to check out their website. I will leave links to it down in the description. You can get different types of subscriptions for your football shirts. You can get them monthly. You can get them that are FM specific. If you are looking for a new save to tide you over to FM 25, this is the perfect thing to do. Get yourself an FM edition. They come in a wide range of sizes, and if you use the code HOOD10 at checkout, you will save yourself some money on your order as well. But thank you to Surprise Shirts as always. You guys are always fantastic. Time to check in to these Haribo. Moving into season number 2, we had some work to do over the summer to turn this squad into a full team of Belgians. Several players departed the club, which allowed us to gather £71 million to bolster our transfer budget in the summer. Key players such as 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 joined 𝘼𝙗𝙪 for £31 million, and he was followed to Saudi Arabia by 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪, who joined 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 for £17 million. One Belgian did depart the club on a permanent basis in this summer, as 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 returned to the Premier League as he joined Arsenal for just £3 million. On the incoming side of things, we secured the services of Pascal Struijk from Leeds United, Hans Delacroix from Burnley, and 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 from Genk as the headline signings this summer. We also picked up familiar names such as Adnan Januzaj and Divock Origi for smaller fees, but we're getting close to this full Belgian squad as we only have 10 non-Belgians left in our 37-man squad. And this season we actually make our return to the Champions League, having won the league title last season. So the second part of this challenge from Surprise Shirts now becomes active. Whilst it wasn't a continuous requirement from the guys at Surprise Shirts to continue winning the Belgian Pro League, it actually does mean that I guarantee myself Champions League football for the following season, so it is a very, very nice to have. We started our campaign with 6 consecutive wins, staking our claim for the title yet again. This was largely spearheaded by youth prospect Romeo Vermont, who was promoted to the first team for the season and gave us a great return of 21 goals in all competitions. Our second half of the season was just as productive as the first to see us win our second title in a row, this time winning the league by a whopping 16 points. So that does mean that we actually secured Champions League football for the following season, but part of the challenge could be maybe over if we could win the title this season. Well, how did we get on? Well, we started our league phase brilliantly with 4 wins on the spin, but things fell off towards the end with us suffering 3 losses and 1 draw to close out the campaign. That meant that we finished 16th in the table and we would have to face a playoff fixture, and the draw gods were not on our side as we were handed a tie with Liverpool. Away at Anfield, the boys put in a brilliant performance, racing into a 2-goal lead, but Liverpool came roaring back into the game to see it end 2-2 on the night. So we had an opportunity to win the tie at home, but this time Liverpool opened up a 2-goal lead in Belgium, but we managed to play our way back into the game with 2 goals of our own to make the game all square. But then in the 97th minute, our hearts were broken as 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 𝙗𝙗 was on hand to capitalise on a defensive mix-up from a corner to send Liverpool into the next round and send us home empty-handed. That result means that the challenge rolls into another season, but we did secure another league and cup double in Belgium, so that's nice, isn't it? In this summer window, we said goodbye to more non-Belgians as Michael Scoras joined Al Nassr for £3 million and Bjorn Meyer also left the club for £3 million. But we did go out and make some fantastic signings, bringing in goalkeeper Martin van der Voort from RB Leipzig for £25.5 million. We also signed Olivier Denman from Hoffenheim and Anthony Descott, both for £10 million each. Those transfer moves leave us with just 2 non-Belgians in the first team squad, but our starting 11 is now exclusively Belgian. Last season, we made it to the knockout playoff round of the Champions League. How will we fare this year? As you'd expect moving into season 3 of this challenge, we've confirmed our dominance of Belgium as a nation. We opened the season with a 5-0 demolition of Genk to lift the Super Cup, along with defeating Standard Liège in the Croquis Cup final to make it 3 cup wins in a row. And to complete a domestic treble, we had a mixed start to our Pro League campaign, but we did manage to get things back on track in the second half of the season to bag a 3rd league title in a row. In the Champions League, we were slightly better in the league phase, which saw us secure a 13th place finish in the table, meaning we'd be back into the playoff round for a 2nd season in a row. However, this year, the draw was much more favourable for us and we were handed Turkish side Fenerbahce. This was much better than last season as we travelled to Turkey for the first leg and won the game 3-0 before returning to Belgium and completing the job with a 4-3 win to progress with a comfortable aggregate win. That result meant that we were into the round of 16 and we were handed a tough tie against Italian giants AC Milan. This time we were at home for the first leg and shared the spoils with a 2-2 draw, with former Club Brugge man Charles de Ketelaere getting on the score sheet for Milan. However, at the San Siro, we stunned the Italians after CDK gave them the lead. We really clapped back in the game and actually won 3-1 on the night and secured a 5-3 win on aggregate. So, we made the Champions League quarterfinals, and our opponents leveled up to the best team in Italy for last season as we faced Serie A winners Inter Milan. We were back in Italy for the first leg of the tie, and our boys really didn't show any fear in this one, taking the lead 3 times on the night and securing a 3-2 victory to take a slender lead back home for the second leg. And then in that second leg, we provided a brilliant rearguard action to prevent Inter scoring whilst adding a single goal of our own to advance with a 4-2 victory on aggregate. But now we made it into the final 4 of the tournament and we were handed a draw against Manchester City. The first leg took place at the Etihad, and despite a good performance from our team, we lost 1-0 thanks to a goal from 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. Who else was it going to be? In the second leg, we truly went for the win and even held a 3-1 lead on the night, but second half goals from 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 Haaland and Pepe saw the game end in a 3-3 draw and saw City move into the Champions League final. This is the closest that we've got in this challenge so far, but there is still some work to do. And moving into Season 4, we say goodbye to the final 2 non-Belgians from this squad. First, Antonio Nusa joined Norwich for 20.5 million, and Ferran Jutgla departed for 𝘼𝙗𝙪 for a free transfer. Whereas on the incoming side of things, we spent a whopping £105 million to hopefully see us make it into the Champions League final for the first time. The most expensive of which was 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 Ramazani from Almeria in Spain, who cost us £48 million. But this window does see us complete part 2 of this challenge by having a full Belgian squad, leaving us just 1 Champions League trophy win away from completing this virtually impossible challenge. The team is ready to rock and roll this season, so let's see if we can make it to that final. Domestically, yet again, we excelled this season as trophy lifts are kind of becoming a familiar occurrence in Belgium. The Super Cup was ours after a 7-1 demolition of Standard Liège, but the Croquis Cup was harder to win, but we did do so thanks to some penalty shootout heroics. And this year in the Pro League, we achieved something I wasn't expecting by going unbeaten for the entire season, only dropping 8 points all year to win the title by a staggering 21 points. But despite dominating domestically, we still did struggle in the Champions League. We suffered 3 defeats in the league phase to see us narrowly qualify for the knockout stages and face a playoff fixture for a 3rd season in a row. But this year we were handed English opposition in the face of Brentford, who are clearly smashing it over in the Premier League. What? We played the first leg at home, and despite a sluggish start and going 2 goals down, we battled back to win the game 4-2 thanks to a Romeo Vermont hat-trick. But the game in London was a lot less eventful, ending in a 0-0 draw to see us move into that round of 16. But this is where we were handed a tie against 15-time winners Real Madrid. The first leg of this tie was in Belgium, and even with Pascal Struijk scoring twice on the night, we lost the game 3-2 with Brazilian wonderkid Endrick bagging twice for Madrid. We knew we'd have an uphill task in the Bernabeu, and that was made even more difficult as Rodrigo and Endrick scored early to effectively usher us out of the competition. So even with an unbeaten domestic treble, we still weren't good enough to complete this challenge, so we roll into season number 5. In this summer window, we were dealt a massively cruel blow as our goalkeeper Martin van der Voort was sold under our noses by our board for just £34.5 million. And it kind of goes without saying that when your board sell what is actually the Belgian national team goalkeeper, it's going to be a bit of a problem. His replacement in goal was Koen Casteels, who we signed for £7.25 million, but at age 35, this felt like a bit of a bad trade for me. This window did see us bring home more veterans such as 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 Tielemans on a free transfer, but our key focus was snapping up the best new gens in the game. Hence why we spent £19 million on Mike Visellis, who arrives from Bayer Leverkusen to be the new creative force in this team. We will be pinning Visellis into the cam position for the season to make sure he gets as many games as possible, as I think he has the potential to be a real difference maker for us. It's pretty difficult to improve on an unbeaten domestic treble, so this season's success all laid in the Champions League. However, that didn't stop us from completing another treble in Belgium, but we did drop 5 games in the league to only retain the title by just a measly 19 points. Oh, and thanks to the game time, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is now a starter in our team, aged just 19 years old, and he is wanted by the likes of Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Wolfsburg and Real Sociedad. But was his emergence as a top talent enough to see us win the Champions League and complete this challenge? Well, we were much better in the league phase this season, only losing to Manchester City on the road whilst winning 5 games, including a nice 1-0 victory against PSG. Those results meant that for the first time in this save, we finished inside the top 8 in the table and moved directly into the round of 16. Here we faced Arsenal and we had to travel to the Emirates for the first leg. The Gunners started well in this one and got a goal either side of half-time through 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 and Gabriel Martinelli, but we did add a late goal of our own to give us a bit of a lifeline in this tie. And that is all we needed, as we scored early in the second leg to make it all square before adding a second on the night just before half time. In the second half, Ramazani missed a penalty, but we were able to hold on to the lead and march into the Champions League quarter-finals. But the draw gods thought it would be funny to hand us another English team, this time in the shape of Manchester City. Again, the first leg was in England, and again it was Erling Haaland on the score sheet, giving City the lead in the second half. But this team is now built of sterner stuff, as we again scored late on to snatch a 1-1 draw on the road. And this time in Belgium we were able to get the job done, winning the second leg 2-1 with 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 getting on the score sheet. So we managed to overcome the hurdle of Manchester City, and we were handed another one in the team that knocked us out of the competition last season, Real Madrid. Much the same as last season, we struggled against this juggernaut of a side as we lost 3-0 at home in the first leg, with Jude Bellingham pulling the strings while scoring an impressive brace. We did put a better fight of it in the second leg at the Bernabeu, but still lost 3-2 on the night to lose 6-2 on aggregate to see our journey come to an end at the semi-final stage. This has been the closest that we've come in this challenge so far, but alas, still no Champions League trophy. Touche, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, for such a tricky challenge. Moving into Season 6, based on previous summers, our transfer business this year was actually a lot more reserved. But the best thing for us was that there were no major outgoings, keeping hold of the key players within this squad. We did of course spend some money, with the biggest addition being Mandela Keita, who arrived from Antwerp for £27.5 million. Team-wise, I feel we're as good as we've ever been, and player for player, I think we can rival most teams across Europe. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is now going to be the main man for us, pulling all the strings in that cam spot, but he is wanted by 9 clubs across the Premier League, Bundesliga and La Liga. So fingers crossed we can keep hold of him before the summer transfer window ends. As always, we have the same 4 competitions, and we'll be trying to make it one step further than last season's Champions League semi-final. At this stage of the challenge, things are very much on cruise control in Belgium, as yet again we secured another domestic treble. We dispatched Standard Liège in the Super Cup for a second time in 3 seasons, and in the Croquis Cup final it was Anderlecht who felt our wrath, with us running out 3-1 winners to make it 6 Belgian Cups in a row. And in the Pro League, we didn't match our unbeaten campaign 2 seasons ago, but we did have our most emphatic year ever. We may have only won the league by 14 points this season, but we did have a huge goal difference of plus 120 after scoring 145 goals in the league in just 40 matches. Our Champions League phase was also very positive, with us securing 6 wins from our 8 games, even if we did lose to Real Madrid yet again. But those 18 points were enough to see us finish 6th in the table and avoid the playoff round and move directly into the round of 16. Here we faced English opposition as we were drawn alongside Manchester United, with the first game taking place at Old Trafford. This was a very end-to-end game in which we took the lead on 3 separate occasions and ultimately secured a huge 3-2 win on the road, leaving things very much in our hands as we returned to Belgium. We looked slightly more convincing in the second leg back in Bruges, creating more opportunities than United, with the game ending in a second 3-2 victory for us to see us progress with a 2-goal aggregate lead. After dispatching English opposition in the round of 16, we were drawn alongside English opposition again in the quarters, and this time it was Arsenal. However, we were at home for the first leg this time around and absolutely smashed the Gunners to pieces, scoring twice in each half to open up a 4-0 lead in the tie to take to North London. Arsenal did return the favour back at the Emirates, scoring 4 goals of their own, but we did score twice on the night to see us progress into the Champions League semi-final for a second year in a row. Here, we avoided English opposition for a third tie in a row, but were tasked with a trip to Turin to face Juventus. The first leg of this tie was on the road and we raced out to a 2-goal lead, but saw ourselves pegged back by the Italian giants with goals from 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 and then 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 in the second half injury time. But then we had home field advantage for the second leg, which is something we definitely needed because the game went to extra time. After a goalless 90 minutes, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 gave us the lead in the 115th minute, only to face heartbreak in the 121st minute as we gave away a penalty that was duly tucked away by Dusan Vlahovic. Meaning our fate would be decided by penalties, and despite scoring from the spot in extra time, Vlahovic was one of 2 Juve players who failed to convert from the spot, seeing us slot all 4 of ours to advance to our first ever Champions League final in this save. And that was it. There we have the game to see this challenge come to an end, and it would be our 3rd English opposition of this knockout run as we face Manchester City in the final. We took to the field in Rome against now Carlo Ancelotti's men, knowing this could be a very historic night. And on the big occasion, we didn't show any sign of stage fright, with an academy player, Romeo Vermont, giving us the lead in the 18th minute. Then in the second half, we were awarded a penalty, with record signing 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 Ramazani calmly putting the ball past Ederson. City had little to no response after this, meaning we lifted the Champions League trophy and completed this challenge. I just want to say a massive shout out to Surprise Shirts and thank you again for the challenge. I really loved this save. It was an actual nice twist to have multiple facets of it coming in. Again, I will leave a link to them down in the description below, and make sure you use code HOOD10 for some money off your orders, and let these guys decide your next Football Manager save, because I have really enjoyed this. I'm also going to post the save files to this over on my Patreon if you did want to carry on the journey. If you want to see more challenges like this, check out this playlist. It's all of the club challenges that I've done on this year's game.